Hi, my name is Ashley Kim, and this is my media analysis project. I decided to do a social media detox, which is defined as a conscious elimination of social media use and consumption for a set period of time. I thought doing it for a project would be a perfect opportunity to keep me accountable and motivated to go through with it. So, to start off, I wanted to briefly go over the literature I read about social media detoxes. After going through class media as well as other scholarly sources, there was quite an outstanding message about refraining from media use. Crotu et al., our textbook authors, start off by emphasizing that Jason Rosenstein, who is the inventor of Facebook's infamous like feature, himself goes to great extremes to avoid addictive aspects of the internet. And a quote that he said that stood out to me was, "One reason I think it is particularly important for us to talk about this now is that we may be the last generation that can remember a life before." Jason Lanier, author of 10 Arguments for Deleting Your Social Media Accounts Right Now, stresses that social media giant companies take on a statistical portion of our free will, and they start to decide who we know, what we're interested in, and what we should do, which is very concerning. Wood and Munoz, they performed an experiment of college students going through a 2-day digital media detox to see how it would impact their own consumer behavior, as this took place in a marketing class. And the results were that the prevalence, effect, and importance of digital media is well underestimated, and that based on the results from the experiment, abstaining from all digital devices and social media can help students identify and really understand the power and the extent of the influence that they exert on consumer behavior. L. Curry and others, they also had a similar experiment with college students, except that the social media detox was for a duration of however long they wanted. Um, Based on that experiment, the results were that the students reported various positive outcomes, such as positive change in mood, better professional productivity, reduced anxiety, and improved sleep, which is all very good for not just students, but for just everyone in general. And they went on to report that a good half of the total sample would be interested in continuing the social media detox in the future, suggesting a potential therapeutic benefit. Last but not least, in a New York Times article, Claudia Dreyfus asks Adam Atler, who is the author of Irresistible: The Rise of Addictive Technology and the Business of Keeping Us Hooked, for advice on how to kind of minimize technology's influence in our lives. And he replied that we need to be more mindful of how we allow technology to invade our lives, and that there should be times of the day where it looks like the 50s or where you're sitting in a room and you can't tell what era you're in. He says we shouldn't always be looking at screens. Based on this literature, the very prominent message from all of them was that the abolishment of media and social media in general would provide a kind of independence, both physically and psychologically, that will be healthier for all of our lives. I had two sections of methods really for each half of my project. The first half was just a regular media use week, and then the second half was the actual detox period. During the first half, I recorded my media use and intake starting from the 11th of November through the 18th in order to keep a very detailed time diary, which is basically a log of activity of things I did. I kept track of my media use through my notes app and recorded every single thing I did, when I did it, where, and with whom. In order to consistently keep a record, I actually had to change my phone background picture to like a black screen with white text that said keep track, so I wouldn't forget to write everything down every time I opened my phone. I attempted to screenshot whenever I opened a certain app, and then I took a screenshot of my home screen after whenever I left the app. And I also made use of my screen time feature on my phone in order to have another safeguard record. For the second half of the project, the actual detox week, I deleted all my social media apps, including Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, TikTok, and Facebook. I kept all my devices on do not disturb mode so that any game or shopping app notifications wouldn't tempt me to use my phone. I only checked my personal and school email once a day for the sake of necessity. And in order to keep track of myself without media, I carried around a little physical notebook so I wouldn't need to access my phone for the notes app either. To show a portion of the data, the top left chart is my media use diaries, and the numbers were a lot higher than I was expecting. The bottom left is just a snapshot from my time diary, which kept track of what I was doing and whether my phone was involved. And last but not least, the pie chart on the right just breaks down my weekly time by minutes. And the big dark orange chunk is time that I spent without media, which includes when I was sleeping, and the other pieces of the pie chart represented me consuming different types of media. The fact that I spent nearly half of my week consuming media was quite disappointing, and to see it visualized like this was a genuine wake-up call for me. To start my data analysis, this is a summary of the first half of my detox period. For self-perception, during the first few days, I was immediately disappointed in myself. I automatically reached for my phone multiple times an hour and felt discomfort and even distress at not being able to be on it. I reached for it during the most simplest of tasks, such as when I was brushing my teeth or waiting for my Starbucks drink in line, and it was really during these moments when I recognized that my reliance on social media was a lot worse than I thought, and a lot of it was so reflexive that it almost became subconscious to me. I also experienced a strange sense of emptiness without having my Instagram or Twitter feed telling me what to think about, which really emphasized Lanier's earlier point about social media giants profiting from our time and directing the way we spend it. I almost didn't know who I was without having my usual media consumption, and I felt kind of lost from not checking my phone right after waking up or watching vlogs and TikToks before bed. And I felt like a lot of media was actually being hypodermically injected to me, and I felt like the only active aspect on my part was how much I was consuming and when, and it was a quite jarring couple of first days. For use of time, I had so much free time on my hands and I didn't know what to do with it. Time felt so much slower and the day felt a lot longer. And if I wasn't doing homework or if I wasn't at school, I would just take a nap or try to distract myself in order to pass the time. And I don't think I realized how long a day actually was when I had my phone to accompany me for the majority of it. In regards to relationships with others, because I don't have many friends in Boston, I felt like I had no one to talk to besides my coworkers at work or my parents at home, and I felt more excited talking to them actually, because I was just depriving myself of my usual interactions. However, I felt a bit of dread because I thought my internet and long distance friends would forget about me if I wasn't online, and even though I told them about this detox ahead of time, I still felt as if I was being left behind somehow. My overall well-being was a 3 out of 10. The first couple of days were really hard and stressful because I didn't have a way to relieve my stress at the end of the day. I felt a lot lonelier without having my friends reach out to me with like silly posts or videos, and I missed having something to look forward to. If it wasn't a project and just a personal detox, I don't have the confidence that I would have proceeded at this point, and I thought that the detox was giving me more anxiety than social media would. For the second half of the detox, I started thinking more about myself and the kind of person I wanted to be when the detox was over or just more into the future. For use of time, I started to do activities that I hadn't engaged in a long time, such as writing in my planner, which was a chore beforehand, reading books, even though there are recommendations from TikTok that I had recalled, and even getting ahead with assignments, and I felt proud of myself for keeping myself busy, but my mind still wandered toward my life online. With relationships, I found myself wanting to spend more time with my coworkers or with my mom. I started to appreciate their presence more despite feeling a little hurt whenever they'd use their phone while talking to me, and I wondered if they ever felt that way when I did that in the past too. The fear of missing out with my online and long distance hometown friends was still very strong, and I think that the time apart from interacting with them made me appreciate them a bit more. My overall well-being for the second half was a 7.5 out of 10. It was still challenging, but relatively easier to handle. I thought less about my phone and more about my real life, and being absent online started casting a doubt about whether that kind of stuff was really important to me, whether my favorite celebrity posting on Instagram was something really to be looking forward to, or whether keeping up with the latest Twitter meme was significant. And I started to see a bit more of my interests outside of social media, and I made more use of time by finding things to do rather than doing them when I needed to, and I felt a bit of empowerment at not being on my phone at all times, but I still craved the interaction aspect. After the detox ended, right on the dot at midnight, I immediately re-downloaded all of my social media and attempted to catch up on everything for hours. After experiencing a week without social media, I learned that perhaps I use social media to fill a void in my life, maybe, and I started using it more as a distraction than just for entertainment. And before I knew it, it started overpowering my time and me. I also learned that I want to learn more about myself and what I like, things outside of my phone and social media, And like Atler previously mentioned, I do want to incorporate time where my phone stays separate from me and it's just me going on about my life, everything for hours. And I definitely do think I will start eliminating my time and presence on social media slowly, but not cold turkey again. And I want to start with baby steps by weaning myself from it so I can enjoy life outside social media to the fullest. And these are my references. Thank you for watching.